It was also 1 year ago this week, September 14th, 2021 to be exact. NXT was rebranded and relaunched as NXT 2.0. Triple H's black and gold brand was dismantled, gone were the skulls and the darker look, replaced by bright lights and rainbow colors, no more Poppy. Poppy was gone. TakeOver became a thing of the past, and they took the brand back to its developmental roots. They phased out the veterans for younger, more inexperienced talent. A lot of those older names were either phased out, or they were cut, or they opted to leave when their contracts expired, as was the case with Kyle O'Reilly and Johnny Gargano. I wasn't a fan of the change, not because I didn't think they should be trying to create newer, younger stars, but because I didn't think it needed to be blown up as dramatically as it was. I mean, they took a couple of sticks of dynamite and they blew this thing to bits. I think there were ways to achieve what they wanted to do by keeping a mix of the veteran talent and the newer talent they could kind of weave into the show. And they obviously agreed, because since then, we have seen them rotate main roster talent in and out of the show ever since then, right? Names like Dolph Ziggler, they put the NXT title on him. Dolph Ziggler became the NXT champion. We've seen AJ Styles on the show when he was feuding with Grayson Waller. We've seen Matt Riddle, Apollo Crews, Ricochet, Natty, among others. It was a change that was also, born out of the fact that due to the pandemic, they were not running live event loops anymore down in Florida. Now they finally are. They finally have started those shows up again. But they weren't running live events. They would do them in front of 200 people, 400 people, and they didn't have that anymore. So the newer talents were not getting any reps. They were just practicing at the PC. And you're only going to improve so much by lifting weights and, riding the treadmill and practicing and doing roles. So NXT as a television show, it's not as fun for me as it used to be, but here we are now 1 year in, and you can see some of the stars that they are going to be building around in the years to come. Braun Breaker showed up on that very first 2.0 episode, didn't know who he was, but the moment he started talking, you knew right away that he was a Steiner. He had Steiner blood coursing through his veins. Wrestles like his father, sounds exactly like his uncle. It's the weirdest thing. Even if they refused to call him a Steiner, you knew he was a Steiner. He's a future champion in this company. So is Carmelo Hayes. He's been the biggest standout of them all, even more than Braun Breaker. Solo Sikoa, he picked things up quickly. He's already part of the bloodline. He just main evented on SmackDown the other night. Grayson Waller, he's developed into a good, douchey heel, kind of like a version of The Miz. He can go in the ring. Toxic Attraction has been a good act. Mandy Rose has noticeably improved in the ring from her main roster days. The Creed brothers, they could benefit, I think, from spending a little more time down there, but they're going to make a great addition to the tag team division one day soon. Tiffany Stratton, she's been the standout for me on the female side. She has noticeably improved from even just a few months ago. After the top, I'd say half a dozen names or so on that roster, you do notice a drop in quality. But that's what you get with developmental. It takes time to develop talent. They have tried to create new stars. They have had some success. 1 year in, I would give the show a B-. On my NXT report card, I would give the show and the brand, I'd give them a B-. I think it's been a thumbs in the middle leaning up. I said a year ago on episode 722, I would keep an open mind about the show. I didn't just bash AI. I had a lot to say about them, tearing down everything that Triple H had built up. But go back on that episode, I did say that I'm going to keep an open mind about this show. And it has taken some growing pains, but it has found an identity of its own. And the best thing that ever happened to 2.0 had nothing to do with any of the changes that they made on the show. It's nothing that you can visually see. The best thing to happen to 2.0 didn't even happen until about 2 months ago. It was Triple H taking over creative on the main roster. Because now when they call these people up, they know that they're going to have a fighting chance to find success. It was the biggest knock on NXT that I had before Vince McMahon stepped down. You did not trust that when somebody got called up to Raw, or called up to, or as I used to say, called down to Raw, called down to SmackDown, you couldn't fully trust that they were going to know what to do with them, that they were going to see anything in them, and that they were going to do right by them. And it just became a situation where, or what they would be doing in NXT would be completely ignored when they would go to the main roster. And that made it very hard to care. Why invest in these people or in a television show if all you're going to be doing is disregarding all of it anyway? And that's one thing if you have a developmental system. Nobody is necessarily paying close attention to every little thing that happens there. You pluck them out, you do what you want with them, but it's a television show on USA Network every single week. You watch that television show just like you do Raw, just like you do SmackDown. They have storylines, they have characters. And to just completely ignore all of that, which is what they would do very, very often when they would call these people up, it made watching NXT, it rendered it basically pointless. That should no longer be an issue. Now there's going to be more of a synergy between the main roster and between NXT. You've got Triple H running creative on Raw and SmackDown. His best bud is running creative in NXT. They're going to work together. There's going to be a lot less of that going on in the future. And if you are an NXT talent and you get that phone call saying, hey, guess what? We need you at Raw this Monday, or we need you at SmackDown on Friday, you've got to be thinking, man, I'm glad I'm getting called up now and not 6 months ago. That could be the difference between me getting the push of my career, taking the ball and running with it, or getting my legs chopped out from underneath me. Big difference. That's the best thing to happen to 2.0. The best thing to happen to NXT was Triple H taking over creative on the main roster. Speaking of main roster talent working on Tuesdays, case in point, Nikki and Doudrop were back on NXT this week. They beat Toxic Attraction. As soon as I saw that, I figured they got to be calling up Gigi and JC. Sure enough, they were on SmackDown on Friday night. They lost, but they were on SmackDown on Friday night. Why else would they have a main roster team that loses all the time coming to NXT and beating their most established team? Unless they were calling them up. JC did potato Doudrop right in the face with a stiff kick that bloodied her up. That wasn't good. I really liked the match with Meiko Satomura and Roxanne Perez. I thought it was one of the strongest women's TV matches we've seen in a very long time. Meiko goes over. I don't know if she's sticking around in the US or not. I hope she does. One of the positives of NXT US inheriting so much talent from NXT UK is that it's mostly experienced men and women. These aren't developmental talents. Tyler Bate is not a developmental talent. B. Priestley is, Blair Davenport is not a developmental talent. These tag teams and Gallus and, Jordan Devlin or J.D. McDonough, all these people they're calling up, these are not developmental talents. These are men and women who have a lot of experience, who are coming, in many cases, off the independent scene, many years of experience. So the quality of the matches has seen a noticeable improvement since they were added to the show. I would expect that to continue. Now, for the 1-year anniversary show this Tuesday, they've announced Pretty Deadly defending their tag team titles against the Creed brothers in a match where the fans will get to vote on the stipulation. Cameron Grimes and a mystery partner take on Tony D'Angelo and Stax. Hey, maybe the return of LA Knight is tied in with this. Maybe he returns to NXT for one night only to tag with his old rival. He's going to help out Cameron Grimes. And Carmelo Hayes defends the North American title against a challenger to be decided by fan vote. A lot of fan voting going on this Tuesday. You know what that means? Taboo Tuesday is back. Actually, if they're going to have the fans vote, are they having the fans vote on Grimes' mystery partner? If they're having the fans vote, then it won't be LA Knight. I don't remember offhand if that's going to be part of the fan vote. But yes, they are bringing back Taboo Tuesday. Maybe not under that name. But it is a Tuesday, and there will be lots of fan voting for the 1-year anniversary show this week.